Going to be talking about feelings today. I mentioned this in the previous video. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. Before we talk about feelings and what affects them, let me first introduce myself to you. I'm Valerie Pugsley, and I help Christ-following business owners and growth-minded individuals renew their minds and see things from a different perspective so that they can earn more, serve more, and have a greater impact. So what is this about feelings that affects them? It's our language. Oh, it matters. It's so important because language is what we use to label our feelings. It's what we use to create the stories that we create to explain the world around us so that we can survive this journey of life. Recently, my husband was doing a study in Genesis, and he noticed that God gave Adam the authority to name the animals, and whatever Adam named them, that's what they would be. I think that principle carries over into our feelings, our emotions. We get to label them. We get to put the name on it. What is it going to be? It's something we get to choose. One example that I heard of this, it was related to stress. The speaker was pointing out that it can be the exact same thing, but two people have a different perspective. And the example that they were using was the one of jumping out of an airplane. One person thought that would be so fun and exhilarating, and the other one thought that was terrifying. No way. Same activity. The activity didn't change. It was the perspective of the people using it and the labels that they chose to give it. I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination, but I am very inquisitive and I love learning. I've been learning so much about our brain. And if you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of something, I don't remember exactly what it's called, there's talking about certain needs that we all have. And one of them is the need for certainty. We want to know, that the chair is going to be there when we sit down. We want to know that we have food and shelter. Well, our brain also wants things to be true. And so whatever we tell it, whatever language we use, it's going to look for those opportunities, those things to make that be true. And that's why language is so important, especially if you don't want to live the ho-hum, same old, but you actually want to have an impact and accomplish things on your journey in life. Now, in the previous video, we talked about identity. What language do you use to identify yourself? A lot of us will identify ourselves by what we do, what we've accomplished, what we have. That's not who we are at our core, who we were created to be. We're all created in the image of God. That in and of itself is amazing, right? And yet we hinder our progress because of all these other identities that we take on, which really isn't who we are. It's just something that we've done or chosen or something that somebody else told us. We might say, I am awkward or slow or any number of other things. Maybe that was a moment in time, but that's not who we are as a human being. We have so much more potential than those moments in time. But we have to start changing our language around that. The language that we use, it affects our beliefs. We'll say, I can't XYZ. It won't work because blah, blah, blah. As soon as we say that, it's true. We can't, and it won't. But we could say something different. What if we could do this? In that moment, our brain is going to start looking for ways to make that happen. Have you ever had something that you really wanted to do and you so wanted to do it and you made it happen? It's because you wanted to do it. Your brain looked for a way to make it happen. So if you want to change your beliefs, change your language, and don't limit it with things like I can't, or it won't work, or I don't have. What do you have? Language affects our feelings. A lot of us, especially in Western culture, like to say I'm busy or I'm overwhelmed. As soon as we say that, our brain is going to look for things to keep us busy and overwhelmed. And guess what? Busy isn't always mean productive, but we use it as a way to pat ourselves on the back to make us think we're accomplishing things. I was listening to a podcaster about the use of the word overwhelmed. Whenever we say that we're overwhelmed, we are actually become less productive because our mind is looking for ways to be overwhelmed. And one of the ways is to do the things we're not supposed to do, so that thing that we really do need to do keeps staying there so it can overwhelm us. Instead, what if we said something like, wow, I have a multitude of opportunities. I'm so blessed with all the opportunities that I have. We can start focusing on the wins, the things that we have accomplished. We can be grateful for the things around us. And as we do that, we can start using different words for the feelings that we're having. I think that's why gratitude is so important. You hear a lot of people talk about that, about having gratitude. In fact, it even says something about it in the Bible. So maybe it's an important thing to do. And as we are grateful and focus on that, then the other things will follow suit. One of the things I used to say a lot was, oh shoot, I forgot. Well, first of all, why was it oh shoot? And second of all, at the moment that I just said I forgot, I actually am remembering. So why don't I say, oh, I just remembered? And next time, I want to remember before I walk out the door. Now I've reprogrammed my brain to remember the next time. Even with our family members, we say, oh, don't forget. Well, what did we just do? We just programmed them to forget. How about if we say, oh, and please remember. Now their brain is going to look for ways to remember. So how are you programming your brain and those of the people around you? Language happens in our brain, and a lot of times it has feelings and memories attached to it. Starting to recognize the feelings that the words are giving you and look for ones that maybe give you a lighter feeling, it's going to be a step in moving in the right direction so that you'll have better feelings and beliefs, which is going to lead to better results, as we talked about in the previous video. I've also found in doing this, though, it's helpful to have other people along for the journey. Coaches. Originally my husband wasn't on board, but now he is again, and actually he's become one who's starting to help me recognize when I'm using words that aren't so uplifting. So I encourage you to find a partner, maybe get a coach, join a group mastermind, something like that. But in the meantime, let me give you a couple suggestions of words that you might want to switch out. We just talked about one. Instead of forget or forgot, remember. Did a video on this a little while ago about instead of using the word try and hope, how about the word aim? Go watch that video. This one was a few weeks ago. See why I think that word is a better word to use and those others aren't very good. How about the word work? This is another one I learned from a podcaster. Instead of working on something, work, first of all, kind of has a heavy feeling, right? We've all had a job that we didn't like, so it can have a lot of negative feelings and connotations. It's also very indefinite, long-lasting, right? So we can stretch things out. Maybe you've heard of Parkinson's law, right? However much time you have, you're going to stretch it out to take that much time. But what if we use the word produce? I'm going to produce this in the time period that I'm allotting. Now we're setting our mind on focusing and getting something completed, as opposed to just working on something and it doesn't have to be completed. Sometimes I'll use the word, I'm going to attack this or tackle that. Again, tackle and attack there's kind of a fight involved. How about focus on? In this world where we're drawn to distractions and notifications and all of these things, focus is going to be huge. So these are just a few words that you can start using to start changing your language around so that you're going to have better identity, beliefs, thoughts, and feelings. And as in the previous video I discussed, that's going to set that foundation so that the decisions and the actions that you take are actually going to produce results that are going to have a greater impact not only on your life, but the lives of those around you. Now, there is work involved in this, and it isn't overnight. And I talked before about having coaches, group coaching programs, accountability partners, others along the journey with you. And an analogy that I heard is it's kind of like we're in a bottle. Even if we know this stuff, we still need people to help us with it. Because when we're on the inside of the bottle, we're in our own journey, we're in our own life, we can't read the label. We need others to help us do that. In fact, I've had times in coaching situations and with my coach that he'll say, you just said this. And I did? I was shocked. I didn't know that I had said that. I thought I had said something else. So it's very important to have others help you along in that journey. I have a question for you so that maybe I can help you in that journey here just with this video. But before I share that question, there in the description there's a link so that you'll be notified when the next video in this series goes out. And in future videos, I'm currently aiming to get a live video done each Tuesday. So by using that link, it'll notify you on Messenger when I'm going live or I have uploaded a new video. So I encourage you, if this has been helpful to you, please use that link so that you can get notified. Now, for the question, as we've been going through this, have you recognized a phrase or a word that you're using that's holding you back, that needs to be reprogrammed? I'd love to hear about it. Put that in the comments below. And then maybe I can come up with another word for you that's more empowering and uplifting. And guess what? If you thought of that word, somebody else has an issue with that word as well. So this is the way that we can all help each other. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And until then, have a fabulous day.